So if America attacks Iran or Iranian interests in the region, Iran will retaliate against Israel. Or at least that's the case according to the hardline Islamic regime. And with Iran and Iranian proxies Hezbollah, Hamas, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad at the ready, the concern over how Israel would defend itself is a legitimate one. And so here now to discuss this concern further is Dr. Martin Sherman, the founder and executive director of the Israel Institute for Strategic Studies. Dr. Sherman, thank you so much for coming in.
Good to be back with you.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk logistics. If Iran and Iran's proxies were to launch a massive coordinated strike on Israel, could Israel's air defenses withstand that attack?
Well, I suppose it depends on what you mean by withstand. If we look at the last engagement in Gaza as a microcosm, we saw that in 2 days the terror organizations in Gaza launched 700 projectiles.
Many of them...
90 of them which fell inside Gaza itself, but some of them got into Israeli territory. 240 roughly were intercepted, but 35 did fall in populated areas, you know, and so this, I think,
that's a decent percent.
I think this should cause people to concentrate their minds on the defensive strategy that Israel has adopted. I saw one rather unkind, perhaps overly critical assessment of the Iron Dome and said the Iron Dome had become the Iron Sieve, which I think is a little exaggerated, because I certainly think that Israeli air defenses can significantly reduce.
Well, they were never 100%.
That's true, but you know, with the kind of arsenal Hezbollah have, it was 150,000. If only if only 2% get through, that's 70 missiles on Israeli populated areas or strategic targets. So I think in many ways this underlines the weakness of adopting a defensive strategy against Israel's opponents. You know, the trouble with a defensive strategy is that you can't launch a surprise defense. You know, you have to respond to an attack, normally a surprise attack. And you can't inflict unacceptable damage on the other side, because the most you can do is destroy what they're prepared to commit to the battle. So I think that there's certainly room here to think of preemption, anticipatory preemption, because I don't think that Israel can afford to, let's say, even the Hezbollah alone launch a strike on Israel. Unless you believe that the Hezbollah are only amassing all these armaments for show, we must assume that one day they're going to use them. And are you going to let them choose the time and place of that use?
Well, so that's really my next question, is that what does a preemptive strike, should Israel decide to go that route, which it sounds like you're suggesting they do, if Israel decides to go down the route of preemption, what does a preemptive attack against Iran and Iranian proxies look like? Because that seems like a very large-scale mission.
That's true, but you know, what's the alternative? Let them attack you first.
I'm not saying there's the alternative. I'm asking you how that would look like and whether or not Israel is capable of doing it.
Well, you know, if you look back at Israel's not very long history, there are two examples. One was the 6-Day War, when Israel launched preemptive attacks
against Egypt, yeah.
And one was the Yom Kippur War, when it didn't. And the results were dramatically different. After the 6-Day War, although Israel launched preemptive attack, it was the darling of the world, with admiration across the globe. And when it waited, because it didn't want to appear the aggressor, it suffered catastrophic losses, almost catastrophic losses in the Yom Kippur War. So, you know, I don't have up-to-date intelligence on what the IDF is capable of, but I'm sure the IDF has great destructive capacity beyond which people expect. And you know, if we can't launch a preemptive strike on Hezbollah, which will take out most of their abilities, we're in trouble.
They're, you know, as we know, Hezbollah, much like Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, it's not like they have a headquarters that just sits alone by itself apart from civilians either. They're very well interspersed within the civilian populations and heavily populated areas.
Of course. That's been the failure of Israeli strategy time and time again. I've been warning for years now that by backing away from confrontations in which Israel could win, it may eventually back itself into a confrontation, which may be emerging now, in which it cannot win or only win at exorbitant costs. And so I think this is a good time to rethink the strategy that we've adopted for the last few decades. And if the other side takes us seriously and realizes that we are serious, it itself may back away from an attack.
All right, Dr. Sherman, thank you as always for taking the time to come out and talk to us today.
Thank you.